Behold his mighty hand. Are we going? Are we live? I've been having some trouble getting connected today. It looks like a couple of people are saying I'm live now. So I'm going to continue. Good morning and welcome to the newest installment of the Chicken Qabalah of Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford. Today's chapter, and we'll break this chapter up into two sections so as not to go too long today. It's on the 10 Command Rants. And as with a lot of these chapters, of course, I, as a commentator, Lon Milo DuQuette, introduced the chapter, and the bulk of the chapter is material from Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford himself. But this is my introduction to the 10 Command Rants. And it starts with a epigram, a quote from the rabbi. Don't worry if none of this makes any sense to you right now. It is enough to remember that realization of one is the second to the last goal of all Kabbalists. The final goal is to attain the consciousness of nothing. Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford. Now, speaking of his name, Lamed, okay, I'm sure you've all kind of figured out that Lamed is the Hebrew letter L, and it's spelled in full L-M-D, or Lamed Mem Daleth. That's how you spell Lamed. And that LMD happens to be my initials. Get it? Not only that, but my father's name was Clifford. And so Lamed ben Clifford, LMD, son of Clifford. I hope I didn't spoil the mystique there. Okay, here we go. Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford claimed that in the winter of 1989, he made a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, where he climbed Mount Sinai to, as he put it, touch base and get further clarification on several matters pertaining to Scripture. On the summit, the supreme deity allegedly appeared to him in the form of a rotating tongue sandwich that lectured Ben Clifford for about 6 minutes. To quote the rabbi, the Lord's lustrous lingua lashed from the luminous laser-like lights that licked the length of the lush and lonely landscape. Later, I laughed like a lunatic as I lay lifelessly limp and lingered upon the lilt of the last littlest letter of the laws and laudable lessons I so lately learned. Unquote. Of course, this story is a complete fabrication. To my knowledge, Ben Clifford never visited Israel, and in 1989 would have been physically unfit to climb any mountain. In fact, I've spoken to several of his early students who informed me that in the winter of 1989, the rabbi was hospitalized in New York City after suffering an emotional breakdown on the observation deck of the Empire State Building, after becoming violently ill at the Carnegie Deli. Be that as it may, the fact remains that late in 1989, Ben Clifford did indeed publish a short treatise on the nature of creation and the underlying theory of Kabbalistic study. These 10 Command Rants, as he called them, are the work of unquestioned genius. They are perhaps the most concise description of the nature of reality ever penned, reducing complex and inscrutable concepts to their essence. Their publication in the prestigious Qabalah magazine Gomer resulted in Rabbi Ben Clifford's overnight transformation from crazy old burned out lunatic to crazy old burned out lunatic holy man. I consider his subsequent commentaries on the Ten Commandments the best introduction to Qabalah ever written. They continue to be, for me, a perpetual reminder of why I am on the great Kabbalistic adventure. I strongly advise the student to refer to them often throughout the years of his or her mystical career. That was my little introduction. I'm going to take some tea here. The Ten Commandments. The first command rant. All is one. This statement is hardly a veil-rending revelation to anyone who's dabbled even slightly with abstract thought. It's easy to imagine everything in the universe lumped together into one big something beyond which there is nothing. But it's the concept of nothing that sends our primate minds into a tailspin. Now, the very young chicken Kabbalist might be tempted to think of this divine nothingness as a kind of negative ENO, one spelled backwards, from which the one somehow popped into being as if from behind a mysterious looking glass. But as the second commandment will demonstrate, nothing is something else altogether. The second command rant. The first command rant is a lie. All is nothing. Astronomers and physicists tell us there is more nothing in the universe than anything else. In fact, they now say that most of the matter and energy in the cosmos, well over 90%, is somehow hiding in all this nothingness. Come to think about it, even matter we can see is mostly nothing. There is infinitely more nothing in an atom than protons and electrons. There is more nothing in our bodies than anything else. We're full of tubes and pockets and sacs and bladders and cavities and chambers and openings and voids. Every cell in your body is mostly nothing. When a cell starts to divide to produce more cells, it first folds in on itself to create more precious nothing to work with. Even your brain grew out of the nothingness of this embryonic internal disappearing act. Physicists can't even say with any certainty that matter, as most people think of it, exists at all. The components of atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons, quarks, charm, etc., are not matter. They are tendencies. Tell that to your head the next time you bump it as you get into your car. Physicists and mystics are now using the same vocabulary, and it's only a matter of time before our learned men and women of science will announce clearly what Kabbalists have been saying cryptically for centuries. Elements of creation as we know them, minerals, metals, animals and people, planets and stars, light and energy, are merely the husks of an invisible universal force that sustains the entire cosmos. We're like dead skin cells that have flaked off from the body of the unmanifest super being. This force, this nothingness, is better than reality. It's undiluted, unlimited potentiality. It's the ultimate reality. And the nature of that reality is consciousness. The first thing that attracted to me to the Kabbalah as a young chicken Kabbalist, hatchling, was the concept that everything proceeded out of this nothing. That made nothing the ultimate creator, not the Elohim or Jehovah or any of the other ill-tempered bullies of the Old Testament. I like the idea of a brooding and inscrutable nothing behind everything in the universe. Now, you can think about the Elohim creating stuff like crazy. You can think about Jehovah Elohim blowing into Adam's nose. You can even think about a stinky cloud killing the firstborn babies in ancient Egypt, but you can't think about nothing. Anything you can think about, anything you can capture and hold in your mind's eye, is automatically disqualified from infinityhood and can't possibly be the ultimate deity. Kabbalistic tradition informs us that everything proceeded from the Great One, and the Great One proceeded from a very special kind of nothing. Actually, three very, very special kinds of nothing. Now, beginning chicken Kabbalists need not spend a great deal of time trying to grasp this concept. Because first, it can't be understood. And second, if you did understand it, there would be no longer a need for you to study anything. However, as you approach the meditative summit of your career as a chicken Kabbalist, the irrational mystery of the three kinds of nothing will increasingly absorb you. For this reason, I offer the following. The first kind of nothing is called Ain, A-I-N. And I've got a footnote here I think I'm going to have to read to you. It is a Kabbalistic mystery that the highest order of these three letters, A-I-N, mean not, or negative existence. When reordered to spell A-N-I, become the Hebrew word for I and myself. So the first kind of nothing is called Ain, A-I-N. This nothing is really nothing. Not even the concept of no thing, like the absence of anything. Now, if Ain just sat around nowhere doing nothing, it's a sure bet that nothing was going to get done. However, something happened to make Ain actually become nothing. Maybe because it was nothing all along, just had to wake up to the fact. This new defined nothing, the Kabbalists call limitless nothing, or Ein Sof, A-I-N-S-O-P-H. The third kind of nothing is a hybrid, Ein Sof. It's called Ein Sof or limitless light. I view it as the light bulb that goes off in the vastness of Ein Sof when it realizes the perfect notness of its nothingness. In other words, nothing is not. And that double negative is tantamount to saying something is, and sets the stage for the first positive in the universe, the concept of one. Don't worry if none of this makes any sense to you right now. It is enough to remember that realization of one is the second to the last goal of Kabbalists. The final goal is to attain the consciousness of nothing. The third commandment. There really isn't a creation, time or space, heaven or earth. Get used to it. Ultimate reality is nothing. So all perceivable phenomena, including time and space, are illusion. We could take a picture of this if our camera had a wide enough lens. And that lens, of course, would have to take in not only the absolute one, but all that nothing too. So the third commandment was there really isn't a creation, time or space, heaven and earth, but the third commandment has a continuation. But there is a you. On the other hand, you are real. A sparkling image of the absolute reality. You must remember, however, that the real you is something far different and more wonderful than your ape-like brain and reptilian nervous system can grasp. The real you is not just a piece of the force of universal consciousness. The real you is, in essence, the universal consciousness itself. You are not your body or your brain or your mind or your astral body or any of the more subtle sheaths that yogis and spoonbenders say that you are nestled in. Bodies and brains and minds are as unreal as creation, time, space, heaven, and earth. The real you doesn't eat or drink or think or sleep or die. I'm sure we would all be amazed to know just how skinny and light and thoughtless and sleepless and immortal we really are. And we'll start tomorrow with the fourth commandment and the commentary on it. But I'll just give you a teaser. The fourth commandment is, we perceive there is a creation, time and space, heaven and earth, because of a fundamental defect in our powers of perception. And that's where we'll end it today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying the Chicken Qabalah. And we will hopefully see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. In the meantime, be extra good to yourself today, and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. Goodbye, you guys.